You don't have to worry about me. Go and have some drinks. You glanced at those people who wanted to have some chit chat with your husband. Jungkook normally flexed a gentle smile and leaned his head on the sideways and whispers in your ear. Don't you miss me? Unable to contain your expression and beating heart, you cough a few times, but I miss you very much. He was not afraid to to show off at all. So when I came back, I wanted to see you. You push his arm. Hey, don't do this outside. You lowered your voice. He wasn't bothered by surrounding at all. What are you afraid of? Do you feel embarrassed with me outside? He complained. You. Joan Chokuk, he looked around. Let me ask you, why do people outside know that I'm your wife now? How do they know? They must be thinking that I used a scheme to marry you. Jungkook frowned. It's not that you don't want to be acknowledged by public as multinational company's President Jones' wife, but you thought that keeping it as private saved more energy and peaceful mind between relationships without getting interrupted by media. I did. He admitted without hesitation, you are my wife. If anyone seek to create issues, then they should face me before you. I'm the only one who is qualified to have a problem with you. It was very deep. You puckered your lips and looked at him in disbelief. He smiled. I want everyone to know that you are mine. You couldn't believe him. What a overprotective man. At such a big event, he wanted to stay by his wife's side, but he couldn't speak with you much as it was his function and he has guests to attend. Time to time, when he walked away, he would look at your side and flash of him smile slightly, sipping on his wine. Many people were looking at you, whispering something as they wish. If tonight Jungkook attracted a lot of attention, then you were, as a wife, became the highest attention, especially with your eye-catching beauty. Jungkook showed a honor to people who attended the commercial party, generously giving the praise to the team who worked hard on this project, giving the wonderful speech in front of podium. At first, you were nodding and smiling at him, but at the end of his speech, he gives credit to his wife for giving him courage and inspired him to work further, making you shocked and you felt chill on your back. Somehow, when people stare at you, because this time he has someone to pamper and show his love. He wanted to tell people that you are under his protection. He chose to open up his relationship as he going to take over that little girl from all sides. As a real husband, night went by the empty of several bottles of expensive wine bottles on the bar counter at his home, but it seemed not able to drown his anger. Recently, Jungkook had announced his marriage life, and Mrs. Lee coincidentally met you at the Hype's commercial celebration, and she had not much good impression of you. So the Heeseung have very bad feeling, and he have not met you for a long time. He was frustrated. Sir, why are you drinking so much? John Jungkook has already announced their marriage publicly. Kim Wine is not worthy of your time anymore. Before his song's assistant can finish his words, the man who was sitting there in front of drinks stood up and grabbed his neck. Try again. Believe it or not, I will break your neck. His eyes were gloomy and intoxicated. The eyes of assistants were filled with fear. I'm sorry, sir. Get lost. Heeseung shouted and pushed his assistant away. The person stepped back in fright. Heeseung's head sank again and he drank another glass of wine. He was waiting for a person who might never come back to him, and he knew that he couldn't bear the outcome. Perhaps it's his fault for attacking you. When the person is sad, he would get drunk, and the good memories immediately reflect in front of his eyes. And he remembered what did he ever have done wrong. Under the influence of alcohol, he sang away on the bar counter in a daze. While he saw figures standing not so far from his side, calling him Heeseung. A sweet voice with an unforgettable memory came into his mind. The time when he couldn't see anything was the darkest time in his life. He was introvert and lonely kid. At the time, a beautiful girl appeared in his life. I love you so much, wine. He grabbed woman's hand and pulled her over, looking at his drunken state. Yvonne fell down on his lap. Do you remember how you were so careless and always created trouble for me? I miss that days. He hugged her, snuggled his face on the crook of her neck. You wanted to take a revenge so far. You have succeeded. Now it's enough. Come back to me. Yvonne felt his pain and her heart ache. Was there only wine in his heart? What's so special on her? She's just a legitimate girl. Hesang sniffed. His mind was accompanied by the faint memories of his moments with you at the teenager he had spent. In those days, both had promised each other not to fall for anyone else except themselves. Then why did you fall for Jungkook? He must be the one to blame on me cause he brought this situation to himself. Once, Yeon came to be friended with him. His relationship with his girlfriend had been unstable because of jealousy or whatever it takes one to broke the relationship. Tears on Yvonne's eyes filled subconsciously. What was she doing? Lee Hee-sang clearly loved her stepsister. If most failure in her life ever happened was getting the man she loved but still unable to make him her because his heart belongs to another woman. He sang. She shouted and cupped his cheeks between her hands. I don't allow you to think about her again. Her eyes are red, but his sang's mind was playing a game with him at his drunken state. That all he saw was that messy girl. Wine. He smiled. You were in a pain when you saw me. With Umji, were not you, baby? I don't have things with her. He tried to stroke her face but was slapped away by Yuan in anger. What can I compare with her? She had beauty, so does I. Even I'm the successful woman in the beauty industry. She had nothing than ruined reputation as a illegitimate daughter of my father's. She married another man and was pregnant. Why don't you understand now? Your women will always pay me. I love you since my childhood, she cried. Wine belongs to another man's. His son was catch off guard and suddenly grabbed Yvonne and smashed his lips on hers aggressively. All he heard was, you belong to another man's, and he couldn't bear it anymore. He was sorry for you, but his tolerance was limited. When he heard that you are being pregnant by another man, in his point of view, he tugged her collar rudely and tore cloths off her shoulder. Hey, Sang, she shouted. Let go of me. He bent down and bit his shoulder and he mumbled angrily, my biggest mistake was to give you all to John Chonko. I regret my past, but I won't give this chance to that man again. Two people give the consent to each other and joyful noises filled in the living room. Some servants that working here can sense the atmosphere already and took their leave from their area to give them privacy. Heeseung, he glanced at her, but I'm thankful for you to be agreed to do me a favor, but it seems we don't have to pretend anymore. Anyway, you are already happy with someone else. As for what happened last night, you could stop me, but you let it happen. He won't take any responsibility of it. He walked off the place. Yvonne gritted her teeth. Why in that girl? He was regretting what had happened last night. He knew that Yvonne will set this trap to urge him to marry her. There is something in his mind. You are not easygoing girl. It should be Jungkook who used marriage to tide you up. His son dialed his assistant's number with his gloomy expression and ordered. They told the reporters news about the celebration of Hype Enterprise mobile phone for me last night, as well as Chon Chongkok and mines. If he didn't attack now, maybe he would never have a chance to get back his girl, or maybe he would be always hated by that little girl. The hot search on the internet was a recent relationship announcement by President John. It's enough to support entertainment era to stir up various interests and people and media are always here to take interviews. Jungkook usually doesn't attend any interviews shows, but his recent market value is high and he needs to maintain his reputation in the industry. Media would often ask his relationship with his fiancée and what would he do since he already got married with another girl. This seems in a good condition right now because Choi families are living abroad, they didn't have much chance to meet up and have a talk and they don't have much conflict in the industry. President John is known as calm and gentleman. He knew how to talk and give a good atmosphere in the media. He would not do anything rational that harm each party. Marrying the girl from Kim family was his personal opinion and he doesn't have to clarify that to public. He's adult and mature. The piece of news completely shattered the rumor of him being gay. You whine and square down on the carpet. Now all people know that I'm Jun Jungkook's wife. I just want to live a peaceful life. This man revealed it without my consent. You complained after for long using your mobile phone to scroll down through Weibo and found all kind of articles and comments of people in it. At this moment, Jungkook happened to come into the bedroom with some breakfast. Why? I just heard someone say something bad about me outside. Looking at the source of the voice, you suddenly got up and glared at him. See, President John, what you call it. Many people are envious of me. You told me to keep it private, but you broke it yourself first. He smiled slightly and walked in. It's a private darling, not a secretive. What? You don't like having handsome husbands? You'll most roll your eyes. He's so full of himself. Take it easy. There are a lot of men out there. You also forgot, madam, there are a lot of women too. President Jones said kindly, are you looking women outside? Here you go, little misery complaining. Are you suspecting me? Then you can rest assured. I have told you that I won't look for women outside. He looked at the calm man. Yeah, it's my decision to make our relationship public, and I never regret it. Furthermore, he didn't say it that he would hide it forever, right? As for your identity, you will be known as President Jones' wife for the rest of your life, as you don't want to pursue your career and study anymore because you fell in love. What's more, you can always seek Jungkook's help to fulfill your hobbies and work on main group's branch. He will help you with your career. He knew his status that he can marry notable lady, but he make you halt in your career. What's more, he doesn't need some rich women to marry him because he is rich himself and he can support himself and his spouse, and it's up to him to decide who the women will be standing beside him and respect this open or mutual relationship with him. After some good conversation, you finally relaxed. Good to hear. Now you can go out. I want to have some rest. Hugo glanced around and raised his brow. This is my room. You blushed and wanted to walk out, but he grabbed your wrist. Just kidding. It's also your room. Jungkook gave you $10,000 for the monthly allowance. You have full clothes in the closet and jewelry, handbags, collection, shoes and heels collection, but you didn't even know where to spend this money. He gave you without hesitation, like he's saying that you can play with it. He knows that you are trying to help your friend who's going to open the newspaper company. Changha has lost her job because of him. So he suggested you to invest this money for her and you didn't refuse it. You had spent your salary card already and there is only some of left in your account. Since you slept at day and didn't feel sleepy at night, you wanted to talk for a few times, but it was already dawn time. When you turned to look at Jungkook, his eyes are closed, though the dim light of the moon, you saw his facial outline, his dashing eyebrows, exposed forehead, that cupid bow lips, and pointed thin nose. His facial features were perfect. He should be number one handsome man in this Asia, but Taehyung beat him, even though his perfection is in top notch. He has scars on his cheek that indicate his naughty child to be begin with, and his mole under that lip inspired you to kiss him. You looked at him sleeping quietly. It was for long, not until you decided to disturb his sleep. Jungkook, he shook his body. He frowned in his sleep. You are little child who woke up earlier than adult and disturbed his sleep. You moved closer, his brows gathered together. He had been working all day and was here have good rest, but who knows that his little wife decided not to let him have his time. Jungkook, are you asleep? You stretched your hands and started to play the hem of his pajamas. All of a sudden his body turned upside down. You were stunned. His body pressed upon you, whined. His voice was low and deep with slight displeasure as he didn't like someone disturbing his sleep. What's with being old? If you continue to disturb my sleep, do you believe that I will not leave you now? Your throat tightened and it became dry, and you didn't dare to move but blink your eyes instantly. Ah, you are frightened horribly by his terribly deep gaze. You can sleep, I won't disturb you anymore. Looking at your silly scared face, he breathed heavily and released you before laying down. What's wrong? Why are you not sleeping? You shook your head. I slept at that day and I couldn't help but wander around. All of a sudden, your brain was blank as Jungkook encircled you into his embrace. Since you don't want to sleep, then let's do something else. Held your cheek and bent down to kiss your lips. Your almond shaped eyes widened. His heavy breath shrouded you as if he's showing his displeasure of being woken up. It's already dawn time, like around 3 a.m. in the morning, and his mood instantly lit up. He knows how to make one's heart go crazy just by looking into his eyes. Time skip later on in the afternoon, Jungkook wanted to broad you somewhere else. At first, you were worried that she would bring you into the crowded place. You reluctantly got ready. The place he was taking you was out of the city. The ride was pretty long that you fell asleep leaning on Jungkook's shoulder inside the car. For half an hour, you had been sleeping. Why? He wake you up, you frowned. Hmm. Jungkook gave you a look, knowing how to feel when someone disturbed him in his sleep. The moment you get up, you were in an area by the sea. It was autumn, and the air was fresh, and the air filled with rich fragrance. There is a mention, and around there was a full garden of flowers. The atmosphere here was aromatic and melancholy. You asked him to take some pictures of you. You are such a happy girl and goofy. Your friend circles is small, and Heeseung knew you so well. You doesn't remember your childhood how you used to act around Jungkook at the time, but with the time passed, as he mentioned, you are comfortable with him. You trotted over and pulled him into the frame. Jungkook, let's take a pictures. He was the man who used to stand in front of camera that no matter which angle you took, he looked good in it. This mansion was under his name. He's really, really rich. Besides, Jungkook, how many properties do you have? Do you want to know? He give you a side glance. How many properties your husband owns? He have to calculate it. Then you have to spend your rest of your lives to investigate about it. Did you ever come here to live? You're a curious cat. I occasionally come here. The owner of this property is dead and government can't find the relatives. However, I bought it back because this place is meaningful to me. However, after marrying you, he had never been to this place because there was no reason to recall that tragedy here. What's so important in here? You stood behind him and asked. Jungkook turned around and scratched your nose. This place belongs to you. The owner of this house was Miss Smith. Your mother's house, your heart beat wildly, and saw things rushed up to your eyes. Your vision became blurred. I need you here. He held your head. When I was running for my life, I fell into this garden and saw a little girl squatting in front of me with her big eyes, looking at me curiously. He smiled helplessly, thinking about the time it was estimated that he met you when he was in the most down and out of his life. Your mother was killed in this house, and you lost your memory in this place. This was the place you found him and lost your everything. It was all because of his appearance that you lost your only family. You want to blame him to find yourself feel better sometimes. Why? I want to ask you, do you hate me? This was the reason why he had been reluctant to tell you about your family. If it were not for the his child's departure and your sadness, he thought of hiding this matter from you. The world gives you darkness and hatred, but you return it with love. It's the same here. You wanted to embrace him with love instead of hatred. After all, he didn't mean to do ill things to the main family. He took your hand and gives you a wonderful wedding. The love and happiness that you have no reason to hate him. So you shook your head, Jungkook. If you really feel sorry for me, then promise me that you will always be with me and love me and never betray me. He held you into his arms, I promise. You hugged his waist tightly, burying your face in his chest. I love you. If everyone have a unforgettable love in their hearts, then you're the cinnamon mole that could not be raised in his heart. Since long, even though there wasn't any love at the beginning. You were the most important person in his life. When family's mansion was closed for long, that there was a dust and nest. Jungkook often asked it to clean it, but during the time with you, he had no time to come over and look after. In this place, something good, memories, and something terrible that had happened was only remembered by him, even though you didn't remember single things. You still try to search up for something like some documents, and you found many things, like the collection of different countries, coins, and painting. Miss Min loves to paint. She was the apple eyes of Min families. She believed in spreading love and inspired many people. Her brand was always good. Qualities, that's why she often visited abroad, and as her father's hobbies, she also collected it for him. Miss Min gave birth to you at the age of 25. She was a carefree woman. She was rich and wise at this moment. Min family's remaining members stayed at abroad. They had no idea that you are still alive because Mr. Kim brought you back to Kim family and he never revealed it to the public. The study room was full of dust that Jungkook was coughing, let alone you. Their present bodyguards are also coughing. You are like a curious kid. You wanted to go and see your room and type of toys you used to play, but Jungkook stopped you because the air here was full of dust. Why? It's not the time for you to play around. Don't Jungkook, you clenched your fists and shouted, I just want to take a look. I'm not child anymore, okay? What are you nervous that I will find out my free toys being missing? Don't worry, I won't charge on you. His face stiffened. What? Toys? Don't talk nonsense. You don't have to blame me. If you want a toys, I will buy you some when we get back. Are you interfering with my business? You put your hands on your hip and argue. Bodyguards was astonished, watching couple quarreling. They didn't believe that two of you came in holding hand to hand and now here arguing for toys. It was really moment of love and hatred. After some time, you took some of things that you felt that was precious for you to the car. And on the way back to the city, Chunguk bought you a big teddy bear and put it on your arms. You were pushed to the edge of the car. I bought you a toy because he felt that you blame him for taking away some of yours when you guys were children. The big teddy bear occupied a lot of space. Your eyes instantly lit up. This is so big and soft. You keep hugging him without giving him thanks, and even decided to keep this teddy bear on the bed. But Jungkook strictly said that if you put this teddy in his room, then he will throw it out. You can keep it on your study room. This teddy will accommodate your previous room. So between Jungkook and Teddy Bear, you sat in the middle of the car, but obviously you are leaning on Teddy this time. He sighed helplessly. After returning at the Itaewon, Jungkook went to deal with his business. When you buy, then just get it. I can buy by myself. This girl, he looked at you with fierce face. If possible, he would like to pick you up and throw you on the bed right away. His deep stare made your body shivers. Why are you looking at me like this? If you don't want them, I won't buy it. At least don't stare at me like this. He swallowed and stepped back. Just in 2 weeks, and he was losing control over his emotions. How many married men can bear it? For how long? Just come and sleep already. He sighed, but you shook your head. I'm having my period, so I will go and sleep in my room. You left, then poked your head back on his shoulder. Consider buying me another one for my teddy bear. Then you shut close the door. He was turned and left alone. You betrayed him with that teddy bear. The difficult part of being sick was to take a medication. The mention of medicine already made your mood off. When Chobok asked maids to give you ginger soup, In the past, when you said you were going to live in Itaewon Villa, I really thought that you wanted to live in a place near the Heeseung. I took a sip of warm milk and glanced at him, grumpily. Then why did you agree? He smirked at his thought because I won't let you meet him. You are going to see him from the distance for the rest of your life. That's the case. He didn't let you go out for weeks and locked you inside the villa. It was too bad, this man. But fortunately not. You were actually running away from me. He laughed. You hit his arm. I was just uncomfortable living with people I barely knew. It has nothing to do with his song, but you leech move here. He was amused and stopped laughing. I would not come if I don't let you do your job as wife. Won't you get the high salary of the president's side of the high enterprise for free? Like he didn't do anything and still have to pay you. That's unfair, dude. You snorted. Didn't you get more than you expected? You didn't want to get pregnant, but he made you, even though the child left the world before he or she can make it out. You both talk a lot of things, and you couldn't help but gossip about his previous experience in affairs. Choco, why did you let media spread you being gay? Did you really not have a woman before? Have you ever had a girlfriend? You're really interested to know his history. Most of the men will avoid to tell kind of things to their wife, and he's not different at all. Because he knew that you were in a relationship with his son, and often media leaked certain things of yours that was not hidden to people who paid attention on it. 3 to 4 years ago, netizens amused you having an affair with your stepbrother. So on, Jungkook should learn about it as well, but President Yoon had been always private with his personal matter. As a promise, you raised your pinky finger. I won't care as long as you don't contact them. I swear. Jungkook looked at you for a good minutes and took a sip of wine. I didn't. He never came into proper relationship with anyone. It was just count as little hooks up for the adult man like him. His physical needs are well taken care of, but he didn't have someone to hold for long. He never committed any affairs. You raised your head. Really? He nodded. Hmm, but you do. Your face froze when he backfired you and you started to regret. He was staring with his intense gaze as if he wanted you to regret the question you asked. Men always have this possessiveness when it comes to their women. No matter how many girls they play their outside, they would prefer someone decent girl with clean history. Even Jungkook didn't say it, but sometimes his heart will burn. He sweated and laughed awkwardly. Don't worry, although I had a boyfriend before, but my first time is you. You let out an embarrassed laugh. Well, he didn't care and kissed your lips to swept away the embarrassment moment. It's not like that he care about type of things. It doesn't matter because that was just physical needs of human, but now he's married and wife. He needs to maintain his relationship and keep his impression on you. If he had a girlfriend and already broke up, and his wife asked him to stay away from her, then there is no doubt for him to keep entangling with her. Fortunately, he had none. That's why, in his view, he can't imagine his wife having another man. If that was before marriage, then it was not his right to interfere, or maybe if his song has not created any misunderstanding, Then he would have been with Heeseung now on his bed, being his lovely wife, and Jungkook could do nothing other than watch and accept his fate. Sleep early, he patted your shoulder and left the balcony. The next day, old man of John family called his grandson to inform that revealing his marriage had caused a lot of sensation and Miss Choi needs explanation in person. Whether Jungkook go to meet with her abroad or she will come by herself. It was old man who threatened Jungkook to get married soon, and it's been 6 months that Jungkook didn't visit his grandfather. Jungkook barely go to the Joon mansion because he still hold a grudge against his father who lived in abroad. The fact Mr. Jones didn't get married again after losing his wife and son and dedicated himself to his work. Old man of Jones family had forced Mr. Jones to start his own family again, but Jungkook's father left the Jones mansion afterward and he also barely visited the country. 2 or 3 years, Jungkook had seen his father, but they never had a family time, and he knows that his grandfather will take his son's side. After all, he's the father of that man, and the problem is Jungkook always stuck in the past. Furthermore, the engagement was set by old man John. Jungkook never said that he would marry his setting fiancée, so his grandfather doesn't know how to explain it to Miss Choi. At the beginning, his grandfather wanted to hide it as long as Jungkook liked it, the girl, and he thought that his grandson will not take it serious and just playing around. But now, the reveal of his marriage caused an issue on relationship between Choi family and John family. No matter how many dates old man Jones set up for Jungkook with Miss Choi, he was reluctant and met her one time, considering her uninterested. Getting married, who knew that he was just pretending? And of course, old man didn't suggested him to divorce his current wife, but at least he can clarify it to his fiancée. When Mr. Bang wanted to talk about this matter with Jungkook, he got demoted and sent to the Sinchon villa and replaced Mr. Bang with supervisor Park Chin-young. Jungkook would not spare anyone who decided to talk on Joan family's favor and judge him. The maids are so used to having Mr. Bang that they were upset when Mr. Bang got transferred. Mr. Bang knew Jungkook's temper ever since he came to live in Itaewon. He used to stay in Sinchon, so the Park Chin Young was in charge of that place. But now, Mr. Park will be in charge of Itaewon. Next day, Mr. Bang let Mr. Park learn some rules and regulations. Mr. Park was always full of himself since he had by Jungkook's side for long and Mr. Bang came from Joan family. Don't worry, Mr. Bang, I can handle this matter better than you. It was your fault to neglect it and make Madam lost her charge. By my side, I know how to protect my masters. Mr. Park coughed sarcastically. Mr. Bang had to tolerate it. Two middle-aged men that have experience serving President Jones' territory was absolutely confronting each other. Miss I are red. Mr. Bang leave the villa. You had no idea what happening as you sleep until late. Mr. Park learned after the announcement of President Jones' marriage that the maid came into the Sinchon villa last time was the young madam of Jones family. After being rude to Mrs. Jones, he couldn't calm down for long and look forward to apologize to you. The moment you wake up and decided to walk towards the garden, you saw a new man. Mr. Park introduced himself, and little did you remember him, and you don't like him much. Last time, You work hard to fool him and didn't expect to meet with him again, but you were embarrassed. Last time, I was really embarrassed. I went to see Jungkook in mere stress that, no, madam, it's my fault to not recognize you. I'm sorry. Please have your way to dine. He smiled awkwardly and walked towards kitchen. Where is Mr. Bang? You didn't see his presence for long. Maids wanted to tell you, but they couldn't bring themselves to be rude in front of the supervisor. Madam, from now on, I will take charge of this place. Mr. Bang, I changed the position. Astonished for a moment, you blinked. Where did he go? What did Jungkook said? Supervisor explains that Jungkook asked both to exchange the position, and you don't know why Jungkook would make such a decision out of blue. You felt comfortable with Mr. Bang as he treated you so nicely, and he's your elder. Because Mr. Bang often take old man Jones' phone and suggested him, Jungkook had enough and strictly prohibited Mr. Bang to get near him. He had driven Mr. Bang somewhere else to leave him alone, let him know what would happen to him if he offended John Jungkook. Although Jungkook didn't return to the June mention. He's still a member of June family, and even you came seeking him asking why he let them exchange. You can't interfere between June family's matter. For the time being, Jungkook wanted you to have good rest and recovery fast without any root of illness. Woman's body after miscarriage needs good care. Even though he wanted you very much, he can't harm your body for his selfish desire. You are used to sleeping with him, so you naturally didn't help but be all clingy. You wrapped around his waist and sleep on his chest. At first, Jungkook was all okay, but his body's heat made him frown uncontrollably. The night, cuddling with his wife as you rested your head on his shoulder, breathing evenly, feeling so ease, the musk fragrance spraying continuously on his nose with an irresistible temptation. Somehow he felt depressed and frustrated with your closeness that he had to move you away slowly after you fell asleep because the fire in his heart couldn't be extinguished for a long time. The moment he glanced at your sleeping body, he felt like committing crime, and all he could smell was the scent of your body. Even he didn't look at you or touch you, he couldn't control the changes in his body. Could he just wake up the sleeping girl and ask him to help? That's rude, right? He reached out his hand to turn on the air conditioner switch, turning on, blowing cold air, and the temperature in the bedroom began to drop. Your body shivers and your curled up subconsciously search for quills. You even stretched out your feet and put on his thighs, murmuring cold. He took a look at you for a moment before he covered you with a blanket and lowered the temperature of your conditioner. You rubbed your face on his shoulder and wrapped your hand on his torso, making yourself comfortable. Strangely, he could not fall asleep for a long and he was in bad mood. He was having some kind of thoughts for long. He didn't sleep while you had a great rest. Next day, Supervisor Park got a call from Jungkook to serve you well in the dinner time. While you were waiting for him on the table, you are already hungry. Madam, please eat first. President don't have something to deal in the company, so he couldn't make it on dinner time. You nodded, understanding. Maybe so. That night you ate alone and for long you waited. Jungkook's number was unreachable. He doesn't want you to worry about the matter of tile and he went to deal with it. As that woman was present and making a fuss, so you have no choice but to sleep alone. It was okay for a day, but Jungkook didn't show up for 2 to 3 days. That worry you. You couldn't calm down and keep dialing his number until you reach out to him. Jungkook, where did you went? Something is wrong. The other line was always sounds calm in any situation. Eat well and have some rest. Don't wait for me. I'm working in the company all day long, even at night, and then sleep in the company. You wanted to check out his reaction. If he lied, then you are swearing to kick his ass. You took a deep breath, waiting for his response. As you called the receptionist, and she informed that Jungkook just showed up at the document briefly to sort out his documents and left quickly. Jungkook was silent for a while. It's not about business. You gritted your teeth slightly. So, when a woman was in love with a man, he won't have a chance to hide anything from her. She will investigate whether the man was having some affair outside or not. Don't think too much. I will be back within a few days and we will go to the hospital for checkup. Take care yourself, okay? He hung up the phone. Women were sensitive. He hung up. He narrowed your eyes and stared on the screen. If man doesn't come back home in the name of work, it means he's looking someone's outside. Because his wife couldn't satisfy him physically, do men often do this? You couldn't believe that Jungkook would do that, but you are a wife, after all, and suspecting husband was natural. You really couldn't think about anything other than your mistress seeking another woman's attention. Inside the car, Jungkook hung up the call and frowned slightly. The driver looked at him from the back of the mirror and asked carefully, President John, don't you want to go back to the one villa today? We will go back in a while. In the face of little women at home, he would not be able to handle it sooner or later, and he didn't understand why he wasn't so eager before he met you. His self control almost collapsed in front of you, and he thought that was not good for him to be that excited when his wife was still recovering. He pinched the middle of his brows. He was distressed. His He sighed, wished he could go back and hold you into his arms. The feeling in his heart, how to describe seeing you every day, he would not admit, but it was not just a lust. It's more than that. He can feel his heart beating excitedly when he was around you. Mr. Bang didn't expect such a situation at all. Just 2 days ago, he was demoted and thought that I would never see Jungkook again, but who thought that President John is so frustrated and came to Sinchon Villa? But obviously, Jungkook wasn't in good mood. In the afternoon, Taehyung came to find Jungkook and they both talk and play chess. How's the situation? Taehyung is here to win the game and his attention was on it. And Jungkook all want his result of investigation. In the past, he had been said that there were a couple of rumors, but now President June is married and he should purely love his wife and belongs to you. He shouldn't let people spread kind of things again and try to avoid getting involved with you. So after some information, Jungkook asked Taehyung to go back. Furthermore, Taehyung didn't expect Jungkook to coax back his wife. It's like a fish slipped out of the net. But how can it escape from his hand? It will always be on his side and one day definitely get killed. After driven out of Sinchon Villa by Jungkook, Taehyung tapped the steering wheel with his fingers and was thinking about how to vent his anger, and suddenly his eyes lit up and he dialed a number. Hello, I'm looking for Mrs. Joan. Let her answer the phone. Taehyung nodded his head when he heard response from the line. After a while, Itaewon Villa's maid asked for you to answer. Hi, who's it? Crisp and sweet voice sounded. It's been a while. I have not seen you. How's it? Tung laughed heartily. He stayed silent for a moment and digested. Who is calling you, Kim Tung? Why he's calling you? Your brows knitted slightly. What's the matter, Mr. Kim? He's happy to hear your voice after a long time. You? He paused. Did you quarrel with Jungkook again? No, we are fine. You immediately said when Theung heard a girl who was eager to maintain couple's emotional life. He had very bad idea in his mind. Oh, it's good that you both are fine, but I hear that Jungkook didn't go back to Itaewon these days. You both have been married for only short period of times, and he went to Sinchon Villa, and you know that President don't have high quality demand for maids. If he asks for space, then it means men are all needy. They would like to have women more than one. After throwing bomb, he smiles. Anyway, you know your husband and trust him, right? He's really determined to please you. That's all. I want to know that you are happy. After some chat, he hung up with good mood, making you strange. John Chonguk came to live in Sinchuan Villa but didn't take you. It's not normal for any married man and woman. You bite your thumb and keep thinking, why Jungkook doing this? Will he cheat on me? He didn't seem kind of person. If he didn't like you, then he have option to divorce you directly. Why would he do some troublesome things after having affair with you? But then, what if someone seduces him? Well, he as you heard about him, he doesn't have habit of being a rich playboy at all, even before he got married. He didn't bring any women in his house for the night, but it doesn't mean that you would not entangled outside house, right? That night you tried your best to suppress the uneasiness in your heart, but when you thought that Jungkook had not come back for a few days, you couldn't fall asleep and sat on the bed with your eyes wide open. He's just busy with his work. He won't look for women outside.